Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? Welcome back to the show. I'm super excited. I have Stephanie Notley, nutritionist, NLP practitioner, and mum of 3 boys in the studio with me. Stephanie grew up in a pub surrounded by food, women on diets, and mixed messages about what healthy actually really means. So she's going to be super interesting to talk to. But after years of chasing perfection, Steph knows how to help women break free from diet rules, guilt, and food obsession, teaching them how to nourish their bodies with self-respect. And, you know, I'm all about that. So this is going to be an absolutely lovely conversation with Steph in the studio. And I think what Steph brings, though, too, is a whole bunch of energy. And Steph, we're just saying, you're the second person in the world that's ever called me snazzy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And you know what, snazzy? If you looked at my contacts in my phone, no one has their actual name. They're all pet names. So it's a sign of love.
Oh, that is absolutely fabulous. Well, look, we'll dive into it because I know that you're bringing a wealth of knowledge with you today and so many topics that we are going to unpack. But also you've got brownies. Brownies. I'm just like working to get towards the brownie step.
Look, I served myself up this morning before I packed them up to bring you here. So they are pretty good.
So tell me, Steph, how did you get here? You've got a great history in nursing, you mentioned offline, but how did you come to be talking about food freedom?
Yeah. Wow. I have always been obsessed with looking after myself in the wellness, going to the gym, eating healthy, rah. At a point, though, I realized all of the obsession that I had was actually doing me more harm than good.
Absolutely.
And it was kind of counteractive. I was so obsessive that I did have disordered eating patterns. Thankfully, never actually diagnosed. I managed to be aware of it and was able to make changes before I went down that path.
Yep.
However, I have been in the wellness space for quite a while. I am a NLP practitioner. I am a part of a wellness company and community, and I'm a nutritionist, and I do see a lot of the head talk and the self-talk, and I see how that gets in the way of really just nourishing ourselves from a place of love. And using what I see, and I did a lot of, was using food as a punishment and reward system.
Yeah, well, and at what age was that? Because I know you've got 3 gorgeous boys. We were sharing stories because we both have 3 sons, so I think we're uniquely connected in that way of understanding each other. But did that happen before pregnancies? Like, when did you come to this realisation that, hey, this is not quite right for me?
Yeah. I think there's been signs all throughout, really. I remember specific moments during high school when it was cool to eat an apple a day, and that was the trend.
Wow.
Yeah. On those days, I would come home after school and I would have a bit of a binge. Now, another part of me is I was a publican's daughter for 24 years. So my pantry and my fridge to go to town on wasn't the average household size. It was a complete room. I had a room for a pig out. And the pig out wouldn't make sense. It was things like cheese slices from the cool room and chocolate buttons for baking. Essentially, it's hospitality. So you had all sorts of things in there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And if you're coming from a place of being hungry at that, you know, in those teenage years where you're developing and growing, like that would have been insatiable. And it's interesting what you probably would have told yourself about yourself at that time and how you reflect on that, because from our perspective and knowledge now, we know that was like sheer hunger. That was kicking into survival mode, and you probably would have been telling yourself something very different at that stage.
I was very active too. And you know, when you're active, understandably you're hungry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those patterns they were sort of evident in many different ways. I'm a mum. The body changes when you become a mum as well. During pregnancy and the labour, things can change, and it has for me.
Yep.
I'm also heading towards the big 4-0. I've just gone over the hump of the 30s, but things are changing again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've had so much energy and focus and obsession on hating the way that I looked and wanting to change it through diet and thinking that that's going to make me feel more confident. Why turn that energy around and see how much could change if I use that energy to love myself and use food as a way to love myself instead?
Because you mentioned that you grew up surrounded by food and diets, and in particular, I mentioned in the intro that you were surrounded by. You were brought up in a pub surrounded by food.
Yeah.
So tell me what that was like.
Oh, best bragging rights as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
My
Right.
parents own a pub, come to mine. It was fun. It was really cool. But it did cause a lot of confusion. Pub meals for dinner every night. Great brag, but they're big, luscious, indulgent meals. And there were times where I craved home meals. It needed for me to be an environment, family as well. And when you're serving hospitality, those timings and when you ate was a little bit higgledy-piggledy. It was either we ate when everybody else in the pub had eaten and we were after service, and even then it was potentially interrupted, so the environment needed to change for me as well. So changing that when we become parents was
big for you. That would have been, but it would have been big as well, because having been brought up in that way, you would have to not only do something different consciously, but then take yourself out of those habits that kind of feel a little bit comfortable if we've always done them. But my next question to you was just going to be just moving right into it, and that is that a lot of people think that they're being healthy but might actually be stuck in some sort of these patterns. So how do you identify between, what are some of the signs that healthy eating has become, and you use the word prison, which I find is really interesting. So unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I say prison because quite often there's a lot of head talk, and I kind of label that as food police.
Yeah.
You sort of police yourself on what you should be eating and how you should feel about that. And they're little voices like, another snack. I've already had snacks for today. Snacks is bad. Maybe it's your way of feeding your body. It's hungry. Yeah. Things like, carbs. That meal is carb rich. You shouldn't be eating that many carbs. Well, why not? Carbs are a really important source of fuel for energy for your body. Body checking, like constantly walking past mirrors and body checking and pinching skin and saying things like, I don't like the way that I look, I will skip the next meal. Other things that are not healthy is jumping on the scales obsessively. And I know you spoke about this earlier in your segment, but letting the number on the scales dictate how you should feel about yourself and measuring it as self-worth. Like, get rid of the scales.
Absolutely.
I don't own any of it. I was sick of looking at the number and not having it budge. And quite honestly, a good number and a bad number is probably a decent poo. Yeah. So get rid of them, chuck them in the bin.
Because it doesn't, and I talk about this a lot, it doesn't give you any quality information about anything. And I did mention to you off air that I use a scanner which gives us more quality information. And it's so fascinating that when people have a scan that sometimes feel very uncomfortable because they're weighing and measuring at home, and then all of a sudden you unpack what they're actually made up of. Yes. And they see the muscle mass and the water levels and all of these things, then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I'm actually pretty awesome. And you're like, yeah, you are. So look, I'm in total agreement with that about getting rid of some of those negative triggers as well. But when someone starts to let go of some of these rules around food, what does food freedom, like you use the word food freedom a lot, which I really like that, because the way that I understand it when I sort of saw your information come through as we were preparing for this interview, the way that I saw food freedom was very much about just enjoying life and just having that freedom to, and this is something that I love. I've never termed it that way, but I love that because I'm very much encouraging people and very much live like that myself. Like, I know what healthy eating looks like, and I choose that because it feels good, but there's no real rules around what I will and won't do. So tell me a little bit about what does food freedom actually look and feel like in real life from how you understand it?
Yeah. Well, just put it this way, right? Food is a necessity. We need to eat, right? Think of, some other necessity of life, like oxygen.
Let's just remove that.
Let's restrict ourselves.
Let's see how that goes.
Right? Oh, I breathed too much today. That's no more for you. Like you've breathed enough. Can you imagine doing that with food?
Yeah, and it's interesting, like if, going back to the oxygen, that's a really great example actually. And going back to that oxygen example, imagine the detrimental impact of starving ourselves of oxygen. I think the impact will be a lot more profound. However, when we do deny ourselves of certain foods, it's the same equation.
It is. It
impacts our physiology.
It absolutely does. It affects our mood, for starters. When we talk about beating ourselves up over food, like have a look at what you're eating. Are you actually eating, for starters? Because that will help a lot with the mental talk and just mental health in general. The energy will improve. When you find your food freedom and able to ditch a lot of the diet rules, you're able to come out of a place of survival because your body's probably been restricted of certain food groups, food labeling, whatever it is that you're doing currently. If you're restricting yourself, your body will show signs of being in survival mode and being malnourished. And things like your food is affected, things like your energy is affected, your cravings, your lack of sleep or patchy sleep, all those things are definitely affected.
And that's not only, as you mentioned, that's not only just from eliminating those food groups, but it's the stress of trying to eliminate those and the thought process. And that's what I love that we are going to unpack coming up straight after this break. We are going to start to unpack the impact of stress on our bodies. Welcome back. We have Stephanie Notley in the studio with us, nutritionist and NLP practitioner. And we, just before the break, welcome back, Steph, by the way, get you back on air.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the mic.
We're actually having some interesting conversations. We like to have to hurry ourselves up to get back on air. So before the break, we started to just chat a little bit about the impact of stress. And so I wanted you to just talk us through what trust your gut means and how does it talk to the brain and what is the impact of that correlation?
Yeah, sure. So trusting your gut is basically eliminating some of the diet trend talk that you'll hear. And look, it's everywhere. It's not just the conversations that we're having. It's the social media, whatever you're seeing pop up in reels in the scroll hole. It's what you're reading. It's what you're listening to. It's everywhere, right? But trusting your gut just means taking a pause, taking a breath and just going, how is it actually making me feel right now when it comes to eating? And what do I feel like I actually need? What does my body need? Intuitively, trusting your gut means trusting yourself to guide your decision making when it comes to eating food.
And that can be quite tricky because, as you said, we've given those reins to rules and programs that we've been following. And so to take that power back for ourselves, that can feel a bit tricky because you're just like, oh, but how would I know? But the reality is that if people pause, as you said, you can know what you need. And do you find that takes people a little bit of time to make that shift?
It can do. It's something we're born with, but we are not taught to actively practice, I don't believe. So yes, it can absolutely take time. And let's just think too, we've probably had a lot of conditioning. We've probably had a lot of belief systems built, and stepping into yourself intuitively, trusting yourself means letting go of some of that conditioning and rewiring some of the beliefs that you have around food and self.
And so how do people start with that? So if you're just like, you know what, Steph, I've heard you, I'm tired of following all the rules. So how do you get people started with starting to pay attention and listen to themselves?
Yeah. I like to put it like this. If you had a best friend and she moved away and the only contact you had was phone calls and you called her and the phone calls were always great, but at some point they just started to slow down a little bit. Eventually you call and she may not pick up straight away, and then the phone calls become less and less, more time in between. Maybe she doesn't pick up ever again, Imagine that was your body, right? So if you're not listening to your body and it's calling, you don't even know what the call sounds like. You don't even know what the call feels like intuitively.
Yep.
So you essentially have to learn that. And that means taking a pause. It means just taking a breather and going, okay, let's just step into this moment right now. How am I feeling presently when this food is sitting in front of me? Does it excite me? Does it make me roll my eyes? Like, if you're not enjoying whatever it is you think is supposed to be healthy for you, you need to make a change. All right. You can't live on boring salads. I mean, they're healthy for you, for your gut, but you can't live on that mentally and socially too. Like, have you ever had like food FOMO? You go out socially, you're out with a bunch of girlfriends at dinner, you order the salad because you're being good, but someone next door to you's got something absolutely luscious and you've got food FOMO. Like, don't have to have the salads. If that's what you're craving and that's what you're enjoying, fantastic. But just ask yourself, is that actually holistically healthy for you?
So could it be just starting with one meal? So
Absolutely.
A meal that you can kind of take the time, because obviously when we're rushing or we're at work or there's breakfast and it's on the run, you probably won't take that time. So is it just about just starting with one meal and just going, okay, let's pause?
Yep. I reckon absolutely start with one meal, and a good one to start with is your breakfast. Start with your breakfast. How can you set yourself up to start your day on the right foot? Is it nourishing you mentally, emotionally, physically? Start there.
Yeah.
And if you stuff up, like if you are on the go, if you are grabbing something in the heat of it, like, it's okay if you stuff up. You are a human after all. Just focus on the next meal.
And the sun comes up every day.
The sun comes up
a
every
new
day.
opportunity. We can just try again. That's right. And just having that patience with ourselves, I think, is really important. But how does stress levels affect things like mood, energy, and our motivation? Because this is the thing, and I see a lot of this as well, is that we do live in very stressful lives. We can live in busy lives. I said mixed messages, so many ideas around what we should and shouldn't be doing. So we've got all of that stress, but we tend not to connect to other things.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about how does that stress actually impact us?
Stress will cause your body to go into a survival mode. You'll end up running on adrenaline, which is exhausting, and you're not acting in a place of nourishment and self-care, right? So you're just doing the bare minimum to survive.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, you are still malnourishing your body in a way. Like, your gut health needs to be nourished, and if you haven't got a nourished gut health, like, you're gonna find things go a little bit crazy. The cheese will slide off your cracker when it comes to food, and you'll throw an absolute nanny.
And that connection to gut and stress, a lot of people don't make that connection, but that's a really big one. And that does also impact our food choices when we are stressed and when we do change that gut biome. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So when you have an unbalanced gut, you will notice things like a decrease in mood. You will notice things like a decrease in energy. You'll have brain fog. Maybe your weight is fluctuating up and down. And if we're on a diet in the first step, in the first reason, like, it is based around weight. But if you're running on stress, you're going to find that weight fluctuate, and you're just going to go further down into the rabbit hole of dieting even stricter, even harder. So mental health, the food noise will be really, really loud.
Yeah.
All the things. Yeah.
And so what's one small thing, everyday thing that our listeners could do if they've just heard you and they're just like, yes, that's completely me. Like, some of those symptoms are me. And I never thought about, the stress impacting my gut health or gut health in general. And what's the one small everyday thing that people can do to support our gut health? And I absolutely love this topic about gut health.
Yeah. Give your gut consistency, not restriction. Skipping or stress eating on the run will keep you in that survival mode. So just stop, take a pause, rest, eat well, and enjoy whatever it is that you do eat. And if you do feel like there's something lacking, find a way to supplement well and bridge the gap. And personally, I do this a lot with me and my family, because you know what, even though I am a nutritionist and I love food, my dietary ain't perfect. I'm not perfect.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And I think I think we're never aiming for that, and we don't need to. But what I really loved about that answer that you just gave just then is because generally when we hear about supporting gut health, the answer that you will get from most people is take probiotics. And that's an answer. That's an answer that I probably would have given in a realm of answers, but I just love that you brought it back down to not the Band-Aid solution, but take the time, take the stress, remove the stress, start to look after yourself, because ultimately that's going to have a bigger impact than putting on taking any probiotic supplements or eating any extra yogurt and kimchi.
Yeah, you can have all the kimchi you like. If you're stressed, babe, you're still going to have poor gut health.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good. I think that was a great answer, because I'm starting to hear that working with you and where you come from, you're always going to bring people back down to take responsibility for what's actually affecting you.
Yes.
And the stress is affecting you. Don't Band-Aid solution over it.
Yeah, and cut yourself a break. Like, you're human. You're going to stuff up. You're going to make poor food choices, whatever. Like, it's okay. Just focus on the next meal. Not next Monday, not next week, not next holidays. Just the next meal. Take a breath. It's okay.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting, though, that when we can be that person for ourselves, whatever that initial thing that we felt bad about, the impact of that is actually usually like insignificant. It's usually what happens, and the impact is the result of feeling bad that sort of snowballs. Do you find that as well?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I think people need to realise that there is this really important thing within ourselves. Everybody has it. It's called a gut-brain axis, right? The gut is the second brain, and they talk to each other directly. So if you have a malnourished gut, you will have a malnourished mind. If you're not feeding your mindset, you are going to not be feeding your gut either.
Yep. And that's the direct link. And and that was really fantastic. And I think just a completely different way of looking at it, and we're hearing it, but I still think we're not really owning what it actually does mean for us. Welcome back, Steph. We've both got
mouthfuls of brownies, sorry.
And you are going to, if that's okay, if you could share that recipe to Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. I think I actually need some water. They were just the most, oh, that's terrible. That was just the most delicious sweet potato. They were, as soon as I took a bite, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good, so indulgent. Yeah, so good. And what was in them?
So it was a sweet potato brownie. So it had peanut butter, it had tahini.
Tahini.
Yeah,
that is
tahini.
My favourite tahini.
Oh, I'm not a huge lover of it.
I'll put it on a piece of toast with my smoothie in the morning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm
still learning to love it.
Yeah.
But I will sneak it in here and there like I do with the brownies. It has a fair dinkum amount of sweet potato in there.
Yep.
It had some honey, and it has some raw cacao.
Because it was so soft, so soft.
Yeah, and I think that's the sweet potato making it that moist and that fudgy as well.
And that leads us into, I guess, the next segment and the next questions that I do have for you. But why did you decide to bring in these brownies? I was so interested. I was like, why the brownies? And tell us how that fits into health goals and food freedom that you talk about.
Yeah. Well, healthy doesn't need to be boring, right? Healthy doesn't mean boring. It doesn't mean that you have to stick to the green salads all the time. You can have the chocolate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Finding that balance and honouring your cravings. Like, I got excited making them. I had them on the weekend. I had a health event on the weekend. And I'm like, I have to make more of them. They're so delicious. Like, they're amazing. But what I've done is I've added in raw cacao, and raw cacao is so beneficial for your health.
Yep.
Yeah. So it really does take the edge of that food noise and the edge of all that diety talk when you know that you're also nourishing yourself as well. Like, you're enjoying the cravings, you're honouring those cravings, and you're nourishing yourself at the same time. And that really just hones in on my message that you can eat like you actually love yourself.
And that's right. And something like that, you can quite comfortably have that with some yogurt for breakfast if you wanted to. You can be eating the chocolate
Brownies
cake.
for brekkie.
Or an afternoon snack, but you're getting the nutrients and you're getting all of that. And, I think we're probably similar in what we believe in, but it's not about saying no to these foods all the time, but it is about taking responsibility and going, you know what, I don't want all the added preservatives and all that stuff. But if I'm going to make it myself, like, absolutely, chocolate brownies, the sweet potato brownies are definitely on the menu. So you talk a lot about making peace with cravings. What do you mean by making peace with cravings? And are cravings actually trying to tell us something? Like, how do you think of that? Because I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, cravings, they're not the enemy, okay? And you're not a bad person if you have them, right? they're like little clues that your body is actually needing something or wanting something, and it's okay to give in to those cravings. You know, a big thing of what I'm trying to coach is intuitive eating and being intuitive to those cravings and listening to what your body is wanting. Cravings are not a bad thing.
Yeah. Just like you said earlier on in the segment, was that our body communicates with us all the time, and there's lots of different avenues of communication and a lot that we've switched off, and one of those is craving. So what sort of things can it be telling us?
Well, for example, you know, coming up to that time of the month, and I know this is true for me, a lot of women crave chocolate.
Yep.
Right? It's actually rich in magnesium. And the body is actually wanting magnesium in that time. Magnesium is, and iron even, is really important for that time of the month.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're, you know, restricting yourself of that craving of chocolate, you're actually restricting yourself of your body saying, I need magnesium and I need something. So another way to nourish yourself and go, hey, I actually love myself enough to honor that craving and let my body be and let my body have what it needs.
Yeah. And also just noticing, as you said, like there might be different times, and not to try to, be tough on ourselves, but just be curious, I guess, isn't it? It's just like, why are you all of a sudden feeling like this? And no, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think it's, so important just to listen to our bodies. So for anyone who struggles with feeling bad after eating something sweet, how can they start to shift that mindset and still stay aligned with their health goals? So what can we tell ourselves? So we've had something indulgent, and what do we, we're feeling bad about it. How do you get people to navigate around that?
Firstly, you're not a naughty little girl.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person. You are human, and humans have cravings. Just allow yourself to know that you are worthy of enjoyment. You are worthy of being fed, and you're worthy of being nourished. And, if you feel like you've stuffed up, that you've overindulged or you've given in too much on a craving, just focus on the next meal. Like, what can I do to help me feel more in alignment and in attunement to my body on the next meal? Not next Monday, not next week.
Especially if it's Wednesday. But that's what it very much happens for all of us. Like, we've all done it to a degree and to different degrees. But I think, it's such great advice just to cut it off, like just end it there and just create the next good, healthy opportunity for yourself. And that's always going to lead to better health choices long term, and also better health generally, if we can just kind of wipe that clean. Yeah.
When you think of it too, like in this day and era, food is in every cornerstone of every celebration, right? You're pregnant, you have a baby shower, you have those gorgeous little themed cookies to give out to your gifts.
Yeah.
Your baby turns 1, you have a themed birthday cake. You get married, and, big item of getting married is, what are you going to have on the menu? What are you going to serve up for dinner on your wedding night? Someone dies, and there's food there too. You go into another room at the wake, and you have tea and supper and talk about everything amazing about that person who is now deceased. So if we have every celebration where food is a cornerstone of it, why can we not celebrate food and what it does for ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. That is such a strong point, because it is always there. And it's used to celebrate, but not on the day-to-day, as you mentioned.
We don't celebrate it. No, we fear it instead. We're confused by it.
And we are at quite a unique time, because we are surrounded by food and the availability of food. So I think we're quite blessed, aren't we?
We are, yes.
But, because we've got generations of family that are still with us that didn't have that level of food that we had. Mum says it all the time to me. So I come from a Macedonian background, and she, says all the time that they left Macedonia because they had no food to eat. Like, literally, they wanted to raise the family, and it was difficult back there for them. But having all of that choice continuously is pretty hard to navigate for people.
It is.
For all of us.
It is, yeah. And I think just as being a woman are so heavily profited on by our insecurities in the diet industry. And I am on a massive mission to try and change that, or make a change.
And what do you see being that step? That's this food freedom? Is it just connecting with their bodies? Is it all of those messages? Like, what are those take-home messages that you would love to share?
Oh, there's so many messages I'd love to put out there, but if you're listening and you've heard some of the talk that I've shared and some of the examples and you're going, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, I say that. Oh my God, I do that. Just give yourself full permission to be, accept you as you are. You are flawed. We are all flawed. No one is perfect. Your diet is not going to be perfect. It's okay, right? Give yourself permission to enjoy food and be nourished, because you are worthy and you deserve to be nourished well. Eat like you actually love yourself. If you've got so much energy to hate yourself and use food as a punishment, I dare you to use food as a reward of love and show yourself some self-respect and eat from a place of love.
That is so powerful, Steph. And what I'd love to ask you now is, we sort of got a sense of where you started off and what life was like for you back then, where it wasn't working for you, and went back to the start of the segment where you identified that you had unhealthy eating habits. So where are you today? You're a mum, you've got 3 young boys. Where do you see yourself now with your relationship with food? Because I know what we teach is what we need to learn. I know that within myself as well. So now that you're out there, you're teaching people, how is it for you these days? And how do you navigate your day-to-day life and busyness?
Yeah. Look, I think preparation in my household is very key. We are busy. I have 3 boys. It is boy stress, right? 2 out of my 3 boys play soccer. Like, we've just had 4 or 5 months worth of soccer 4 days a week, hockey. I play tennis. I still work. It's a busy household. So preparation is key, making sure I do the groceries in the shop 1 day of the week, get all that organized. I sit down, I find the days of that following week where it's going to be busy and cut myself a break. Yep. And if it means I'm asking my son to turn the oven on and put a tray bake in, then it's giving me some mental space, but it knows then that I can come home from soccer practice and dinner is pretty much ready, and then I can go on to tennis afterwards, or, have my husband step in and help when he's home to be able to do that. Just because the kids have to be fed 7 dinners of the week does not mean it has to be stressful. It does not mean that you have to do it. It means cut yourself a break. Find where you can make it easier for yourself. At the moment, we've been doing every plate, actually. Every plate has given the mental load space for myself. Somebody else is picking my meals. Somebody else is shopping my meals. And any one of us in the household can pick the recipe up and put it together. So
yeah, that's great. And different stages, we're talking about this off air, I think, different stages, you have different needs.
Yes.
And there will be, I look forward to the day when we've got all this luxury of time where we can, cook and bake and all of that. And I think, what I'm hearing though is you're just not sweating it anymore. Like you're not sweating the small things and not, trying to be hyper focused. And that's my thing always, is just teaching people to bring the attention of food and the focus of food back behind. It's like powering our life. It shouldn't be in front where we're just focused on it. There's just so much more to do in our lives than focus on the food. But thank you so much, Steph. It's been an absolute joy having you in here and just listening to your journey. But you gave the listeners some really strong take-home messages today. So thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute blast, and I've loved eating brownies for you with you at 1 o'clock for lunch. It's been lovely.
Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays, as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful, and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM, or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.